Buenos dias, buenos dias, buenos dias. It's not what they say in Houston, but good morning on the early dawn of Sunday, the 6th of July. It's Houston downtown, but we're going to NRG Stadium, aren't we? For the US men's team against Mexico. It's a clásico, it's a derby. It should be football with a snarl. It's the finale of my tournament. I think CONCACAF and FIFA like to think of it as the final of the Gold Cup. I don't. This is the finale of my tournament. It's early in the morning. We've got a long day ahead of us. I don't expect to finish until my Monday. With the time differences, I don't know if that's your 1962 or 2036. That much I've lost track of, but I haven't lost track of the fact that this has been an exciting, interesting trip. Thank you for being with me. What I'm going to build now is a diary of my day. So this is the Fox truck. This is what I've been reduced to because normally Murdoch Operations and I wouldn't work together, but it's obligatory here. This is where the talent is. Jenny is the presenter, Doc is the producer. I'm waiting for my producer who's going to help me bring to air a segment where I supported a mad dressed up fan called Chris who likes to look like Alexei Lalas. Do you remember him? Big stack of orange hair and a big long orange beard. Chris dresses up like him and goes with the American Outlaw fans. So we're going to put Chris and Alexei Lalas together on the edge of the pitch at about 4:45 local time. And of course, like everything, it needs production, it needs organising, it needs to be produced. So I'm waiting here for their producer, Johnny, to finish his meeting so that we can go together to the set and just walk through how it might happen. And it's all part of the jigsaw of a big game, particularly a final. Yeah, that is Alexei Lalas riding into the studio on a horse. We're in Texas after all. Don't forget about that. Yeehaw! That's Chris, an American outlaw. And Chris loves Alexei. Okay, back with you in a minute, folks. There's Guillermo Ochoa. You've all seen him before, you know him. These are the substitutes. These are the wholly unnecessary and stupid pyrotechnics. This is the security guard who's giving me the evil eye, the stink eye. These guys are all thinking I should be fucking playing, but maybe it's my day. And who knows? Maybe it is. There's Hachi Wright. Came to a Bumper Graham road show 7-8 years ago in London. The same road show where I met Rasa Hussein, legend. Jack McGlynn, definitely got Scottish or Irish blood. I'm not going to sell you that this is the biggest game in the world, but it is a derby, it is a Clásico. And I tell you something, I've enjoyed learning these men's stories of late. Matt Priest, the guy who did a Harvard thesis on penalties. Chris Richards there with the Bill Linnett hairstyle. He's got a tattoo of bet on yourself on his chest because everybody kept telling him he couldn't do it. There's Diego Luna, back in January. Somebody elbowed him in the face, broke his nose during a game against Costa Rica. He came back on again against doctor's advice and said, as long as I can breathe and my legs are working, I'm going back on. Walked on the pitch and created a goal assist. There was a Mexico goalkeeper, sad because his baby girl was born 12 days ago and he hasn't been able to see her. There's a 16-year-old on the bench for Mexico today. These are the stories that I've been trying to tell over the last 4 weeks. And now here we are at the final. The story goes on. I would estimate that Mexico in this stadium outnumber US fans. Well, easily 6-7 to 1. much noise. But at the moment, the atmosphere has been remarkably friendly. I don't really expect that to last. Sing along now. It's not the Marseillaise, admittedly. Is it the home? Is it the home of the free? Land of the free and the home of the brave? I don't know. Just so you know, this is my cameraman, Vasilias, and our wonder runner, Hannah, filming the Mexicans. What's up? We're running a competition amongst the rest of the media to try and work out, if we can, who these guys support, but it's really not clear. You come to light at last. There's the answer to the quiz. I think they're Panama fans, right? Or US? The Mexican fans had been giving it ole for about 17 passes. So I honestly expected that there'd be a crunching tackle coming. You know the way it goes. But instead, the US were patient, goal kick. But the Mexican fans never having been quiet, not once, even when Chris Richards rose to put his Phil Lynott style header past the Mexican keeper. The Mexican fans never shut up, never doubted once. Now they're taunting. There's no unclear way to say this. USA are getting mobbed. It's only 1-1 after Raul Jimenez thrashed the ball home. Pochettino is not even able to play 4-4-2, he's playing 4-5-1. The USA are stockaded in at the back. They can't get out. Adjumang, their centre forward, is having a bad game. It's going to be Mexico's night unless something big changes. One thing's for sure, the better team won. Nat King Cole, as ever, would say it best. He'd say, "The party is over, it's time to call it a day." When you're sitting in the goal mouth where the winning goal was scored, in, I hope we can see that, the Energy Stadium in Houston, with Mexico having won 2-1, my Gold Cup, as they used to say in The Great Escape to Gordon Jackson, for you, the Gold Cup is over. It wasn't an exciting game. Mexico were dominant. Mexico were better. The US have changed a lot over the month. I found them interesting to talk to. The way in which Mauricio Pochettino answered my questions yesterday, and then his press officer asked for the audio to play back in the build-up to the final. He talked about wanting the US as a nation and the players to be more full of fire for football. He said, look out, football isn't like NFL or baseball or basketball, where it's an entertainment industry, where you're playing amongst your fellow peers, you're playing within America. He said this worldwide sport is full of people who in many cases are playing to survive, or playing to get themselves up out of the gutter, who cry when the national anthem comes on. And Pochettino said, look, one of my dreams is that the next time there's a CONCACAF tournament held in the US, that the stadium is 90% US fans and 10% the rival. Well, you could see what he meant today, because this was, I think, a 75,000 crowd, hugely noisy, and Mexicans outnumbered US fans by maybe 10-1. A much bigger equation than I thought when I recorded earlier in the day. I'll give you two conclusions that I think might be interesting. One, I think America lives in desperate times. I have no truck with the rhetoric or the actions of the Trump administration or their pretty thuggish police, the ICE. in the penultimate stadium we were at, two Texan brothers said that they were scared, having been born in Texas, born in the States. When they were stopped by cops for no good reason, they were afraid to protest or ask why, because they have Mexican parents. And they feared that just saying this was not a righteous stop, officer, might trigger an ICE investigation to two guys who were born in the USA. They're US citizens, born here but Mexican parents. And they wondered, could that lead to trouble for their parents? Might their parents be exported back home? Might they be exported back home because they feel they just don't know now? In a situation like that, in all the situations that you see in the news all the time, that we read about and we hear about, Mexico, United States in Houston, I thought would be potentially a bitter, angry confrontation. Nothing of the sort. The Mexican fans in the stands were brilliantly behaved, loudly passionate. There was very little abuse of the USA team. On the pitch, there was very few sparks. There was no danger of it ever boiling over. There was nothing personal. Yesterday, in the build-up, the Mexican players over and over again called this a clásico, a derby. The rival, one of them said, we love to hate, for want of a better word. That was Angel, their goalkeeper. And yet, there was no ugliness, no nastiness around the stadium, in the stadium. You could sing Mexico, 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 and then shout USA, no fight would break out. Clusters of USA, USA, somebody would come shout Mexico, and it wasn't a spark, it wasn't a tinderbox. That's good, but if I'm honest, it surprised me a little bit. I've watched the US team grow. They were beaten by a better 11. Mexico played front foot, dominated the game, even though Chris Richards of Crystal Palace fan fame put the US men's team ahead. I think US men's team have grown. When they assimilate the lessons of this month they've spent together, and when they have one or two of their real top players back in the squad again, they'll be interesting. Not World Cup challengers, but the challenge of getting out of the group for the tournament that they co-host might be within their powers. The tournament itself, the Gold Cup, has brought me heaps of stories of colour, of people who are professionally good to work with. Interviews with Dick Advocaat, Dwight York, Mauricio Pochettino, Javier Aguirre, Raúl Jiménez, Chris Richards, Tim Ream, over and over again, Tyler Adams. I've really, really enjoyed myself. Michael Antonio. Across the piece, and my little friend, I can't forget my little friend, Oscar Santis, with his tattoos and his dear departed grandmother, and his body covered in tattoos, and him dying to win a Gold Cup to tattoo on his arm. Diego Luna. Over and over again, I've met interesting, colourful, talented footballers, and my Gold Cup has been a slog, physically the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's been worth it. I hope that occasionally, intermittently, have you not been entertained? Do stay tuned.